Airwolf.
Give us a sense of an average day on the Airwolf set.
I arrived with the whole circus, so they were still bringing in the camera trucks and the hair and makeup trailer and my trailer, whether it was a honey wagon or a motorhome, the catering truck, all of that stuff was just all being brought in at the same time and circled up and making a base camp. Then I would go from hair and makeup just to the set for myself to see where we were shooting. If the director was already there, I usually tried to meet the director, especially if it was the first day on a shoot. If it wasn't, I would just go so I could say hello and good morning, and I let them know that I was here, I'm here, and I'm ready. And then I would go back either to my trailer, or they had director's chairs with our names on them, and so I would sit in my chair, have a cup of coffee, and talk to the new guest star or the other stars of the show. Ernie was usually out there if he was in a scene first thing. Alex was out there. And we just got ready for the day. Now, on the day, typically they would use our stand-ins. Now, a stand-in is different than a stunt double. So your stand-in is there for lighting. And my stand-in had been Mary Tyler Moore's stand-in. And she's a delightful, delightful friend of mine. Her name is Bobby Bates. And I'm 5'8", and if I had shoes on, I was taller than that. And she's 5'2". She's a tiny thing, so we had to accommodate for that. She did the same thing with me that she did with Mary Tyler Moore, which is she carried around a box. She had a box that was just the right height when she landed on what was going to be Caitlin's mark. When she landed, she would stand up on the box. And then they could light everything. Bobby and I became great friends because after they did the camera blocking, light blocking with Bobby, and now it's going to take a little while for them to get the light right and get the shot set up, Bobby would come and say, okay, this is the general movement of the scene, and this is where the director wants you at any given point. Now, some directors did it exactly like that. They wanted you in a particular place for a particular reason. And that was fine with me. I just figured out how to motivate that cross and get over there. Sometimes the director wanted you to come in first and walk the scene. So they would give you a general idea of where they wanted you to land and what was going on. But they also wanted to see what you were thinking, particularly in the hangar or the office, places that we were all the time. So they were also looking for what your character would do comfortably in the scene. And then they would do the blocking with our stand-ins. A couple of directors wanted really, really active, let's move. Oh, that was Sutton Raleigh. Virgil Vogel was another one who liked a lot of physical, let's move, let's go, let's, physically be in the scene. And then there were a couple others who were a bit more laid back, like Ray Austin, who I loved. He's a very, very British gentleman. And he really looked at the script and the character. He knew what he needed to do with the lady, but he treated the lady as a character as well. It wasn't just about her action or this moment and getting this shot in the scene. It was also about our relationship to her, our relationship to each other, knowing the bits and pieces of what we knew about her, and then going from there. We had a lot of the best action-adventure directors in town. They were trying to make their page count, make their day, move things along, keep the actors happy, keep our cinematographer and our cameraman happy, and inspire. That's pretty much what the director is doing, is inspiring the crew and the cast and everybody to get in there, get the shot, and get things done. And remember, we had to get the script done. Typically, you shot an episodic in about 7 days. I think we had 8 days. I seem to think I remember that we maybe had one extra day. You had to get all of this done in a particular amount of time. We were on the clock from the moment we arrived at location. So we weren't paid for drive time. We weren't on the clock for drive time. But as soon as we got to the set, that's kind of started our day. It started the clock, probably, 5:30 in the morning. Most days, especially if I had a big script, I would be there over 12 hours. Now, the 12-hour is kind of a golden number. I think anything over a certain number of hours, whether it's 8 or 10, the actor goes into overtime or special fees that they're actually looking at as sort of like fines against the company to discourage them from keeping you there longer. But you needed to have what they called a 12-hour turnaround. If I was on set at 5:30, I needed to be done and off the clock and walking to my car by 5:30 p.m. Well, I can guarantee you, especially July, August, and September, when we have great sunshine until 8 o'clock at night, I wasn't done at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. I would go into what they called a forced call. I was going to have less than 12 hours off the clock. So that was a lot of budget. It's very difficult. And so that's also where my idea that we were gladiators came from. And our life at that moment was this show. We've got to get this show done and in the can. And often the show was just barely done and in the can before it went to air. It was a tight race. We also sometimes moved location. That was also a very expensive thing. But I can't imagine what a difficult job it was for those producers, the line producer and the ADs, and what they were able to get done in 8 days. We were really shooting a film a week. It was a lot of work, and it did wear you out, but oh my goodness, was it worth it? It was really wonderful. Airwolf will continue.